Hey, coach, I hope everyone's weekend was absolutely phenomenal because I know that my weekend was. And if you are struggling to show up more authentically online and you know that it's the thing that's preventing you from getting and attracting more clients to your programs, then get ready to take notes because I'm going to walk you through how you can start to show up more organically for both yourself and for the people watching your media and your content. So let's dive into this by starting kind of where this came from, right? So I just came back from my yearly trip to the Toronto CanFit Pro Show. And for those of you who don't know, it's a show by the organization in Canada here that helps trainers and health practitioners basically become the best versions of themselves and help increase their businesses. Now, normally when I go to these events, I would actually come looking for kind of the best tools. So tools on breath work or the newest workout trend to share with our clients in Fit for All Fitness. But this year was really different for me because I came actually looking to see where you guys as coaching were struggling and where you seem to be needing help the most. So I chose to take the form of a silent observer and I listened to all of the coaches around me as they asked speakers and presenters all the questions on how they could build their coaching business. And something came to me during this process, and here's what it was. What most coaches are struggling right now is they're struggling to show up on social media in a way that attracts people, but also makes them feel like they're actually providing value. These coaches said that they didn't feel genuine, that they had a really hard time giving value and feeling authentic doing it because most of them were just posting content because they wanted more clients. And listen, I get that. It's so important to understand this as a coach. There is a fine balance in your business between giving and receiving, and you have to give value regularly while being yourself, but at the same time, not be connected with that value to then be open to receive new clients. Now, if you do this right, it means that you're going to give value and you won't give it out of guilt, that you're not going to create content because you feel that's the only way to attract people, and you're going to be able to show up 100% as yourself, which is basically what drives people to reach out and DM and choose to work with you. So your next question is probably going to be, okay, Andrew, I get it. I have to show up as me, but how do I do that? How do I then provide that value to attract people at the same time? Because it's true that we want people at the end of this process, right? And listen, it's okay to say that. It's okay to say that you want to attract people to work with you as a client. It's okay to be open and admit that all the master classes you run, all the seminars you provide are so you can show up and show people the results that they can get so they can change their life in your programs. There's nothing wrong with this. And I want you to know that because, especially for someone who's helped over 4,400 people in 8 years, we have attracted a lot of people in our programs. And I promote our programs frequently because I know that it is going to give them life changing results. So, what I'm choosing to do with this episode is I've written down some points that I want to expand on to help you show up more authentically in your content and in your coaching so we can start to attract those people. Okay. Now, these points, what I want you to do is I want you to write down these points and figure out what comes up for you, because there might be points that you're doing already, but there might be other points in which you're like, oh, wow, I really need to take a second to unpack this and recognize that this is the place in which I'm having the challenge. Okay. So, first point, and this is regarding content. So, in content, never make a point without telling a story, and never tell a story without making a point. You see, a lot of times as coaches, we either become super inspirational when we create content, or we could become super informational when we create content. And either polar opposite ends of the spectrum do not help serve the people that you are looking to attract to work with you as a coach. Okay. When we're someone who is just informational, all we're doing is regurgitating facts. We're regurgitating the how. We're telling them how to lose the weight. We're telling them what to make the changes for nutrition. We're telling them what diets don't work or what the steps and process would be. And the thing is a lot of people have this information already. A lot of people know a lot of the steps. So the question becomes, are they emotionally connected or are they emotionally involved in that information? And the answer is a lot of the times, no. They don't have emotional connection to their struggle every second of every day. They're not thinking about their weight all the time. They're not thinking about their nutrition all the time. And so, if you do not have someone who is emotionally connected and you give them the how, they're not going to be inspired or they're not going to be encouraged to take action, because that lack of connection, they're going to be like, I'll apply that later. I'll save this post under my Instagram save feed. And then let's be real, we don't actually go and look at funny pun there unintentionally. Let's be real. You look under the save folder for you to actually pull up, and you never do. So showcasing the information does not drive the point home because there's no connection to the information. And this is where we have to then tell a story. This is maybe your journey through your health and your wellness. Maybe it's a journey that one of your clients experienced, to help them connect on an emotional level so they actually take the information and apply it. Now, that being said, you can do the exact opposite and have people super emotionally connected. But if you don't actually give them any information, they just get all emotional and then they feel a little bit discouraged. So, this is where you might create a piece of content and you might say, have you struggled with your weight? Do you always feel like every single time you go to put on the jeans, they don't fit? Do you feel self-conscious? And you get them emotionally involved, but at the end of this post, they leave in emotional turmoil. This is where people will either feel an emotional high connection with your content, or they're going to feel an emotional low. Either way, it's not good, because someone without an action step coming off of an emotional high will be so motivated and inspired temporarily that they're going to say, I can do it by myself. They're going to forget that they've been struggling for 5 years or 10 years. They're going to forget that they've had a challenge this long and they haven't been successful, because they're going to have a temporary shot glass of motivation. So, in creating a post that's super motivational, what we're actually telling people is try a little bit longer on your own and don't actually seek the how, don't actually seek the resources to get support. Now, the flip side of that is you could leave someone on a super emotional low, talk about the struggle, talk about the overwhelm, talk about the challenge. And so someone becomes so discouraged that they say to themselves, I know I need help, but this coach is so far along the journey than where I am now that I don't think I can bridge that gap. And so they become disconnected with you, even though they have the struggle. They become fearful of reaching out to you because they see you, they almost put you as a coach on a pedestal. So when we are creating content, the way that you show up authentically and the way that you help attract people is you need to make a point, but you also need to tell a story at the same time. This is where we can use client examples. This is where we can use testimonials. We can share our life experience and then give them little bits of the how. Give them one or two action steps that they can do so they can feel confident about the next step. The goal of content is to leave someone encouraged to take action. This is what we call ascension-based content. And the next action could be joining your masterclass, joining your seminar, maybe reaching out to you as a coach, or sometimes the next step is, hey, make this little tweak with your food or this little tweak with your activity. Regardless of what it is, you want to make sure that you're never making a point without telling a story, and that you're never telling a story without making a point. Okay? And this leads us to our second point. It's so important to understand when we are creating content and when we're showing up authentically as a coach that people do not want the product, they want the process. As coaches, we tend to focus so much because we're really trying to get people into our programs. We're really trying to push sales. We start talking about all of the things that's involved. You're going to get 3 workouts with me. You're going to get a meal plan, a grocery prep list, some type of a guide, an eating out system. The reality is no one really cares what's involved in the program. They want results and they want to know how they're going to feel coming out of the process. So being authentic as a coach is talking more about what your process looks like, what it's like to work with you as a coach, what it's like to be in your community containers and to operate in your world, and what the process of the client journey is like. If someone goes from super overweight and they're having struggles, after 3 or 4 months, what does the end result look like to them? And this comes down to really any industry. This isn't just coaching. They don't really want to know all of the details in the product. When you go to buy a car, you don't care about the cubic feet or the cubic millimeters inside of the engine or what its volume is when it comes to gas. What you care about is the ride quality. Are you going to be able to, take your kids to and from a specific place? So they need to understand what the process looks like. And the reason why most coaches focus on the product, most coaches talk about what they're going to get to a client, is because our struggle to attract people, we feel like we can't talk about the results. We feel like we can't talk about what a client could look like because that may not attract the person to actually get inside the program. We're afraid to tell them that it's going to take work. We're afraid to tell them that there's going to be effort, that there will be struggles, that there might be 1 or 2 weeks where they may not actually see a result. But that is exactly what they need to hear. They need to know that people have challenges. They need to know that there are clients who take fast action and who take adjustments and changes throughout your process, because coaching, that's what that is. Coaching is a process. So if you find that it's really hard for you to keep talking about your programs, it's probably because you're not talking about the process. You're talking about all of the shit or the deliverables that's actually inside your program. Okay. Now, big piece of this comes down to our third point. When you're talking about your program and your process, the way that you become authentic with your content is you need to gain general agreement with your audience. This is about connecting with them on an emotional and mental level so that they know that you get them. One of the most interesting things was I was actually watching The Bachelor, okay, with my wife yesterday. And there was a guy who was on a radio show, and if you guys watch The Bachelor, you'll know these people are here to find love, okay? And the Bachelorette asked this man a question. She was basically like why me? Why did you choose to stay for me? Why did you choose to be a part of this process? And the man heard the question, but one of the guys that were on the show basically started talking all about himself. He didn't understand the question. And even though he was giving an answer that was deep, it was deep for him. And you could see an emotional disconnect. And she even said afterwards, you're talking a lot about yourself. And that's not what I asked. A lot of times as coaches, the reason why we come off inauthentic to potential clients is because we spend more time talking about us, talking about me, this is what I'm getting, this is what it's like, where we need to spend more time showcasing that we understand them, that we know what it's like to struggle, that we've come from that challenge, and here's how we've overcome it, that it is possible to overcome. Here's how our clients who are just like you overcame it. When we show them that we resonate on a level that they can understand, this is where they take us off the pedestal and they say, you know what, this is a coach who's actually been in the weeds like I have. They're not perfect. They experience challenges. Here's how they overcome them. And so they start to want to be like you. And being authentic is when you can just show up as a coach, as yourself, talking like how you would talk to your friends, how you would talk to your family. And these people say, I want to spend more time with that coach because they talk this way. So the emotional connection and using what we call client-based verbiage, this is talking about the same words that they use. If they use the word overwhelm, you need to use the word overwhelm. If they use something like in Fit for All Fitness, women would call menopause monster pause. So I would use that in my content, and they would say, wow, you're speaking like me. You're resonating with my mind. How are you reading my thoughts? How do you know my life? And the key is, because every single time I make a piece of content, even every single time I'm promoting and I'm talking to you coaches, I know what it's like to be a coach who creates really great value but struggles to connect with people. I know what it's like to launch a masterclass and not have anybody show up. I know what it's like as well to spend so much time building a program, wishing people were in it because you knew that you could change their life. And I do that because every single time I talk about those things, I talk at the emotional level that the person is at now, and then I show them where they can be later. Okay. Now, here's an interesting thing. An interesting thing about connection. And I talked about this with The Bachelor. Okay. Sometimes as coaches, we talk to them at an emotional level, but we push them away because sometimes we're trying to use lack-based content to attract them. Okay. And there's a little joke that goes to this, especially for you health coaches. And the joke's like this: what is the hardest lift at the gym? I heard this the other day and I was like, oh man, kills me. What's the hardest lift at the gym? The front door. And when people go, oh shit, yeah, it's funny, but it's also kind of sad. It's sad that sometimes when we're creating content, the only way we can connect with them is when they are in an emotional negative. And so that pushes them away. Remember something, people are looking for the transformation that's going to make them feel phenomenal. So if we're always talking about the struggle, if we're always talking about how they failed, if we always talk about what they're missing and why they're missing it, people are going to feel bad about this process. They're going to think they're foolish. They're going to think they're stupid. And so what's the likelihood that they're going to be excited and fired up to work with you as a coach? If they thought that every single time they walked through the front door, it would be negative, it would be condescending, you would tell them what's wrong, you tell them that they're not doing anything right, they wouldn't really be that excited or fired up to actually take action to work with you as a coach. We want to work with people who light a fire up under us. We want to work with people who we can get excited about. And that's the big thing that drives the third point home. Now, fourth point about being authentic. If you're creating the content right, maybe the reason why you're not authentic as a coach is because you're not getting results. And that's the fourth point about authenticity as a coach. Your job is to get results for your client. And it's to get results for every single client. And you know what? Sometimes I get it. It's easy to be burnt out as a coach. It's easy to feel overwhelmed. It's easy to have so many one-on-one clients that it's tough to deliver the same results. But a big way for you to know if this is where you're lacking authenticity as a coach is to ask yourself, have you been working with someone who hasn't gotten results yet? And if you can't answer that question with a no, you have to ask yourself the next question: why haven't they gotten results? Why not? Because don't you want to be the coach that delivers a great result to every single client? Don't you want to be the coach that has a 100% success rate? Don't you want to be the coach that never has anyone cancel or fall off the program? Yes. And not because you want people to stay in your programs longer, not because you want to be known as the person who can always guarantee a 60-pound loss. You want to be that person that when someone places their trust in you, you get them the gold medal. You get them the end result because you've invested as much as you can in them as it is in you. And a lot of times as coaches, when we're struggling to attract clients, we tend to focus so much on getting new people that we're not actually focused on delivering to the old ones and the ones that we currently have. You know, one of the things that I can tell you, especially in coaching 4,400 people, was the first 50 people I had as a coach taught me a lot, because A lot of them didn't finish the program. A lot of them weren't the right fit. A lot of them, I wasn't able to deliver the best result. And at the end of the process, I sat down with myself and I asked myself why. It was really hard for me to promote a program when I wasn't confident on delivering the result. It was really difficult for me to show up 100% and say, I can be all in on you when I knew that I was leaving energy on the table and I wasn't all in with my current and my existing clients. And there's a big piece of this, okay? It's about coaching up. And what I mean coaching up is when someone joins your realm in your world, when someone joins, whether it's a small masterclass to even a 6 or 8 month program, they need to be farther along. They need to be at a higher level than they were when they started with you. That's the goal. That's the objective. That is the ultimate way to show up authentically as a coach. You need to be able to make sure that you are delivering a result. And if you're not, or if there are some of your clients that haven't gotten results, then that may be why you're hesitating in terms of creating content and being authentic with it. And I'll tell you something, the more people that go through your program, the more dialed down and authentic that you'll be. So, an example, when it came to Fit for All Fitness and the Hormone Reboot program, the Hormone Reboot program's taken over 800 people through the process. I know the shit works. I know they're going to get phenomenal results. I know what they can experience at the end. So, why wouldn't I talk about it as powerful every single day? Even with the coach to coach program, I know coaches going in start to attract the right clients and audience. They start to have a value stack funnel system. They start to be fired up. Even the program Fast Launch that we're running at the end of August, August 24th, Fast Launch launches and fills their programs in 60 days. I know the process works because it's worked with my business. We've done it with 2 other companies in a literally 2-day time period, not just a 60-day time period. So why wouldn't I share that at a super high and dedicated level? Why wouldn't I tell people you need a value stacked funnel system? Why wouldn't I share with you coaches, if you're struggling to fill your program, you need to be in this container? Because I know that the containers work and I can only be authentic with that when I know for a fact that I can deliver that result. Okay. Now, final point for this being authentic, okay, is focusing your content and your coaching with what you are good at. And I like to tell people, I like to tell especially the coaches and coach to coach, the riches are in the niches. You have to really dial down your messaging to speak to a specific niche audience. If you are not niche down, if you are not saying, I help people with X, Y, and Z, and I'm super specific, trying to help everyone helps no one because your information will be too general. And there are people every single day saying, I have this specific problem. Can you specifically help me? If you're too general with your content, if you're too broad with your verbiage, if you're saying things like, I help women 37 to 57, it's too vague. And because it's too vague, people say, I'm going to work with the person who I know, like, and trust and who gets me at a deep level. When you have people who are like, listen, you are speaking to me. When you said you're eating cookies at 7:30 at night and people are like, it's literally 7:30 right now and I'm eating this cookie in my mouth as I'm watching this. That is when you've niched down. And in order for you to be authentic as a coach, it means saying no to taking on those people who are not within your niche. In Fit for All Fitness, we help people with hormonal balance. We help people with digestive issues. I wasn't looking for people with performance. When athletes would reach out to me, I said, I'm not your coach. Could I help them? Yes. Are they going to see the same result? No. And that's why I niche down. I niche down because I can go 100% all in with the right client and get them the best result and then push people away who are not the right person. Now, here's the thing about being niche, okay? Look, everybody in the health and coaching industry, they know their stuff. They know their information. Everyone is qualified. The information is compulsory, okay? That gets you in the game of coaching. True. But to stay in the game of coaching, You're going to actually need to know how to coach them on a belief level, on a mental and an emotional level. So even though you niche down, don't just keep talking about the niche stuff. And I recognize this very quickly. Talking about hormones every single day is like people knew the hormonal stuff. I needed to start talking to them about why they're not doing it. I needed to start talking to them about the end result that they can experience. This is the coaching part, because where people struggle is the belief. Where people struggle is the understanding as to why they're not doing the thing. So 5 points, really powerful ones. And I know this, in hearing these 5 points, you're probably saying to yourself this. You're probably saying, Andrew, a lot of these points, I know that already. Okay? Listen, that's so dangerous as a coach. If you're saying, I know that already, what that tells me is you are not coachable yourself. You can know something, but to know and not to do is to not to know. That's just the reality. It's not enough to know things. Be forever the student. Stay curious as a coach. The way that we stay curious is we're always open to learning. We're always open to try something new. As a matter of fact, a large part of being coachable is operating how you would want your client to operate. A fine example of this, if you want your clients to hire coaches, are you working with coaches? If you want your clients to show up daily, are you showing up daily? If you want your clients to admit when they're not doing something, are you going to admit when you're not doing something? And that involves knowing what you already know, but telling yourself, am I actually applying it? At the end of the day, guys, being authentic and being a coach, it's about having enthusiasm. And enthusiasm, the definition of enthusiasm, it means to be filled with excitement, but so much excitement that you are sold yourself. That's what being authentic is. Are you sold on your own program? Are you sold on your own process? Or are you hesitating with that? Are you not quite sold that you could deliver the result? Are you not quite sold about your process because it's really clunky? Are you not sold because maybe you feel like you haven't worked with enough people, so you don't really feel like you're coaching or you're confident? But being so enthusiastic, showing up every single day at such a high level, like people get excited. Guys, as a coach, enthusiasm is caught. It's catchy and people know it. When I see someone who's fired up, when I see someone who's excited to talk about their program, it becomes contagious. I become excited. And listen, sometimes as a coach, you could be really burnt out and you're like, oh, you know what? It's just really hard to be enthusiastic right now. It's really, really tough. No one lacks enthusiasm. You can fake laugh as a test of enthusiasm. Try and fake laugh really loud. Just fake laugh for 10 to 15 seconds. You're actually going to start to really laugh. And you can't help it. You don't lack enthusiasm as a coach. You're blocking enthusiasm. You're preventing it from manifest because you're letting fear show up, and that's why it's hard for you to be authentic. But understand this, you're blocking your dream and you're blocking your success. So if you feel like it's tough for you to be able to be enthusiastic in order for you to be authentic, you got to change the way you act. You got to act as the person who you're becoming, not as the person who you are now. And that's not fake. I'm not saying fake it till you make it. Okay. Understand though that every session that you do, it's a show. You are showing them what you're becoming. You're showing them how to act. You're not showing them how to be fake. You're showing them what they need to do every single day for them to show up as the highest version of yourself. That's what makes you authentic. It's by acting as the best coach that you can be. Okay? And I will leave you guys with this. You got to be on fire before somebody else will burn for something. And this is why as a coach, it's so easy for me to show up authentically for you. because I'm invested in the burn. I want you guys to light up after every single 45-second reel, after every single piece of content that I do on the Coach to Coach YouTube channel, because I know that the only way that I could ignite something from you as a coach and that I can have you ignite into your client is I have to be on fire myself. Okay. Now, here's how you know if you're doing this right. If you are being authentic in the right way with your content and with your program, people, they're going to tell you, listen, every single time I watch your video, I get fired up. Every single time I hop off the group coaching call, I take immediate action. Every single time I'm telling someone that I'm working with a coach, I am fired up every day. And you know what? The people who aren't in your process, the people who aren't in your program, they're going to start to ask this question: where the hell were you? Where do you get this energy from? How can you show up every single day? Because they will want what you have. That's authenticity in a nutshell. This is what's going to attract like-minded people. It's what showing up, just the simple thing of making those 5-point changes or working on one of those 5 points. This is what's going to allow the right people to be in your program and to join your containers in your world. You will never, ever go without having full containers or full programs ever again if you just show up as the genuine person that you are. Thanks for watching this episode, guys. Remember, stay tuned to, of course, the Coach to Coach YouTube channel. And remember as well, too, we've got the Fast Launch program coming up literally August 24th. It's 2 weeks away. So as a coach, if you are looking to launch a group coaching program or you've got a new program that you're looking to fill within 60 days, this is the perfect opportunity. Step in, learn how to create the client converting content, learn how to be able to build a value stack funnel system, understand the tools that go into play in creating real value so that way someone builds trust within you and they do it very quickly. That way, when you launch this group container, when you launch the program, it's going to be fully filled. Then you can start to make the modules on the inside. Then you can start to create what the client delivery looks like. Because every single program needs to be launched fast and it needs to be launched in a way where people are super excited and they're all fired up for it. So if you're in this state and you're humming and hawing about this program, this is the opportunity to join. I will drop the link in the show notes. It's fitforallfitness.com/fastlaunch, where you can launch your program in 60 days. And if you know of another coach who has this group coaching program that maybe it's not filled yet, this is the perfect opportunity to say, hey, let's launch our programs together and do it in the best way. So you can go over to that page, the fitforallfitness.com/fastlaunch, or even go into the show notes, or even DM me on Instagram, Coach Andrew Costa, where we can have the chat to see if your program and if your coaching business is in the right space for you to launch your next program. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll catch you later.